And so we've got a goal by 2050 of being a 100% renewable city. As a result, we're trying to get new buildings to 100% renewable by 2030. And the first step, the first concrete step the city's taking this November 16th, is with a revision to our rezoning policy, where we'll require 50% less greenhouse gases be produced in new buildings that undergo rezoning. So that's most buildings above 6 stories in height will go through the rezoning policy and will be required to reduce greenhouse gases by 50%. So this is a really excellent example of what's possible. This building goes far and above what our new requirement will be, but it certainly shows that it is possible and cost effective to build to. This is the first building that's at the framing stage. They're actually framing the walls. There's approximately 200 other dwellings in about 6 projects in Vancouver that are earlier in the construction process, and about another dozen projects that are currently in the planning and building permit phase. So this is the first, but it's the first of many. The city is also building its next fire hall, which is on Clark Drive, to the Passive House standard as well. So we've committed to building all of our new buildings to the Passive House standard. Builders and developers like 8th Avenue and Peak have shown that it is possible to build, and so we're making it our minimum standard.
The industry is already shifting to high-performance buildings. This is just one type of high-performance building, and more subcontractors, more and more suppliers are coming into the market and understanding that high-performance buildings are the wave of the future. Passive House is just one way of doing that. And yes, there are a lot more people that are beginning to hear about what Passive House is and beginning to understand what the processes are. The extra wall thickness that allows substantially more insulation, the very energy efficient triple glazed windows, which also makes for a very quiet building. And most importantly, I think, is the airtightness of the building. So we have a very, very strict requirement to have the number of air changes per hour reduced to 0.6 or less, which may not mean much, but that's a substantial improvement over the standard. The other aspect that I like about it is that we use very high efficiency HRVs to recirculate the warm air, but it's actually fresh air, and we just transfer the heat into the fresh air. So it's a very comfortable building. It'll be a very clean building because of that air circulation. So those are some of the primary features of it.
This is 0.6 air changes an hour. Measured at the Passive House standard, it's more like about 0.5 air changes an hour because the area we use is slightly different. And hopefully we can achieve better now.
What are the key problems for the builder? It's going to be building an airtight envelope. And when we put that in perspective, a typical building is, 7-8 air changes an hour in a typical house. A well-built house maybe 3.5 air changes an hour, which is the new City of Vancouver standard. A Passive House is 0.6 air changes an hour. So they're much tighter air barrier. So the detailing of it, the continuity of it, and just following it right rigorously through the building, that's a challenge for the designers and for the builder. The biggest advantage is they're more comfortable buildings, they're healthier buildings, they're longer lasting buildings, they're cheaper to operate buildings. So that is the beauty of a Passive House. It's a simple building. It's just got such a good sweater on it. It's got such a good ventilation system in it that the heating becomes negligible. That in fact, half of the heat required for this building is produced by your televisions and your own body heat. And another third of it comes from the windows on a nice sunny day like today, or even in the winter. And the balance of the heat you need is just put in with a standard heating system, but it's not very much anymore. It's about 1/10 of the heating energy of a typical building.